X's and O's is underway on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network. As usual, it is sponsored by U.S. Bank, honoring the Vikings' 60 greatest fans this season. And we have a special guest this week. His name is Rick Spielman, been the general manager for the Minnesota Vikings and with this team for about a decade and a half. And the Minnesota Vikings have won 3 consecutive games. They beat the Bears on Monday Night Football. So it's a short week into the Dallas game. And first of all, Rick, thank you very much for, let's say, pinch hitting for head coach Mike Zimmer. And how are you?
Oh, good. Yeah, no, I know Coach Zim and them guys are grinding right now because we're on a short week. So they're already in meetings and game planning meetings. So I feel honored and privileged to sit in front of you here to pinch hit for him on a short week.
And Rick, when it comes to a short week, and we'll hear Zimmer talk about it in his weekly press conference or end of the week or whatever, what exactly for coaches changes when you have one less day and lose that Monday?
I know the coaches, like yesterday in the hotel, a couple of coaches are working on, Dallas, since we had a full day before the game last night. And the young guys, the quality control guys, always are working a week ahead along with our advanced scouts. So now Coach Zim and the rest of them will get caught up. And then, we got a couple hours of sleep last night, and they're grinding away right now so we can get ready for the Dallas Cowboys coming in.
How has your working relationship with Mike Zimmer been through the totality of his time here?
It's been awesome. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better relationship with Zim. And, we meet on a lot of things. We meet almost on a daily basis on personnel, on other things that are going on that we, But the thing is, I know that Coach Zim knows we all have his back. And we all know what kind of coach he is, what a heck of a job he has done to date this year, and hopefully we'll see that success continue as we go into the second half of the season.
Rick Spielman, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, our featured guest this week on X's and O's on KFAN and the Minnesota Vikings Radio Network. We're going to get to the players momentarily, but as we go with the coaches, working with Gary Kubiak, but not just Gary, the totality of his offensive staff. Start with Gary, and what impresses you about this staff?
They're just phenomenal, not only on developing players, finding out what the players do well, how do we utilize all the strengths of each individual player, how they put it in their scheme, and then just the game planning week in and week out, led by Gary and Rick Dennison and their whole crew over there that just do a phenomenal job getting this team ready to play on Sundays and giving us the best chance to win.
And you have a lot of Super Bowl rings over there with Kubiak, Dennison, Periani, your tight ends coach, and that obviously leads to a lot of equity. And would you say knowing
chemistry? Chemistry. Those guys have worked together so long that they know they've been through it all, they've seen it all, and to have that type of experience, along with what Coach Zim is doing as a head coach, but also as a defensive coordinator, filling both of those roles out, you just see that when you have an experienced staff like this that have been through as many things as they have been through in their careers, and to see them get this team better each week and to see them prepare this team to go out and give them the best chance to win each week, we're pretty fortunate that Coach Zim and the staff that he put together, including hiring Gary Kubiak as the offensive coordinator and all that crew, and how well they work together. Because I think when you have that continuity and those guys working together, then that just trickles down and has a trickle-down effect to the players. And the players believe on Sunday that they have a chance to win by how these coaches are putting them in the best opportunities.
Definitely out of the bye, a very confident bunch, a Vikings team that has won 3 consecutive. Dallas here Sunday, and the game is shortly after 3 o'clock. It's 2020, so therefore my access or getting to know Durante Jones, your defensive backs coach, as well as I would like to, that hasn't happened, but from afar, I'm guessing he's doing a wonderful, wonderful job with all this youth back there.
Yeah, I know Coach Zim is very high on him as a football coach when he hired him this offseason. I know when Coach Zim interviewed him, how impressed he was, not only with his knowledge, but also with his ability to communicate with players. And I think that's such a big part of the game right now, not only knowing what to do and scheming, but you also have to be able to communicate. And with everything that he's been dealt with, from all the injuries back there, from all the youth that we have, especially at the corner position, and to see him take those young corners and spend extra time in the meeting room. And you see when we get off the practice field, if they're screwing something up, to pull them over the side after practice and continue to walk through. And I think you're starting to see that pay off right now from the mistakes. And I think Coach Zim has mentioned it a few times in his press conferences. It's not always about the physical ability, it's about the awareness. And it's talking about the splits, if the receiver's inside the number, and you got to stay outside leverage. Just little nuances like that. But I know how extremely hard they're working, and I think these players are finally starting to click a little bit here, especially the young guys, where they don't have to think too much while they're on the field. Now you're starting to see them just go out and play to their ability without having to, oh, I got to do this. Now it's starting to smooth out, and they're just starting to be able to react and use their own natural instincts without making too many mental errors.
Fantastic answer. And this is such a youthful team that, and I know how hard you take losing, and the team starts 1-5 and loses the home opener to Green Bay. So with that said, were you able to pull back a little bit and recognize, obviously, with no preseason and the way the offseason went, I mean, a lot of these kids around the league, they just were behind the 8 ball before the thing even started.
Well, you kind of anticipated. I think we went into this. We knew we were going to be young, and we're going to be young at a lot of positions. And they were going to have to grow, and we were going to have some growing pains early in the season. But I do know how well Coach Zim and how well this staff develops young talent. And you're not only seeing it from the corners and the way Gladney's playing, and Justin Jefferson, I think, has a chance to be a pretty good player. But DJ Wanham, all of a sudden, Hercules Matafahi is starting to get his opportunity. And he's been like the last 2 years developing, and then all of a sudden you see him out there, and now all of a sudden it's clicking for him. They all click at different times. They all just don't sprinkle magic dust on them, and then they're instant players. Each of them have their own developmental period, but you're starting to see that these guys are good because of the coaches that we have.
Yeah, it's for the record.
Did you like that, PA?
I loved it. It's good and bad. For the record, it's Hercules Mataafa, and the way you hit me with the Mataafi, it took me back to 2009 and a certain fullback, and I like the numbers 11, not 12. But Rick Spielman, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, is on X's and O's. Speaking of a player where maybe metaphorical magic dust was spread on him, Justin Jefferson, first 2 games, didn't see much, maybe to be expected. After that, holy cow, 4 games of at least 100 receiving yards, tying Moss's rookie record from 98. Not putting him on a Randy Moss comparison here, but what a great start.
Yeah, no, he's been phenomenal, and he's shown that the day when he walked in here. Now, it's getting used to the playbook, understanding the schemes that we're trying to do. I think it's the chemistry between him and Kirk Cousins, and you're seeing that develop over time. And, you know, a lot of even the critical passing in the passes last night, there were a lot of critical situations on third downs where it's not just stealing. Now we have a Justin Jefferson. We have a couple tight ends that are pretty good as well. So you're starting to see him filter into what we're doing offensively, but becoming a main part of it now. And that's not only the confidence that we have him in as a player, but I think what Coach Kubiak has in him on making sure he's getting his touches during the game, and even our quarterback in the chemistry they're working together.
Well, he was a big-timer in college, obviously, against quality schools like Georgia, Alabama, and the SEC from LSU. But so I'm not disrespecting what he did there, but with what he's doing here, is there anything different from what you saw when you took him where you took him?
No, he's a good route runner. He catches the ball. He's physical after the catch, and he can make big plays. Those are the same things that we evaluated when he came out. Now you're just seeing that it's carried over into this next level.
Ezra Cleveland, 4 starts with Grady Jarrett, goes into Kenny Clark, then gets the Lions, and Akeem Hicks in that group last night. That's baptism by fire, right?
Yeah, we're very excited about him, and He was almost on the same path as we talked and developed as Brian O'Neill was when we drafted him. And Brian O'Neill, right around the same time, got in and started at right tackle his rookie year due to some injuries. And when he got his opportunity, he didn't let that go. And you're seeing the same thing happening with Ezra. The biggest difference for him was that he's never played at guard. He's always played left tackle while he was at Boise. And the shift inside to guard, where things happen so much faster because you don't have as much space on the outside when you're blocking the edges, and how he's developed and how it's really came to him, because he's a smart, tough, competitive kid that loves to play the game, and he's just going to get better and better as we go.
Dalvin Cook, you traded up for him in 2017. What a wonderful player, but what a wonderful person Dalvin Cook is.
Yeah, no, he's I know when we drafted him and there were some questions about him coming out of Florida State, there was no question about his talent. But it was there some things off the field that you were concerned with? And I never forget calling him on right before the draft on the next day and having a nice conversation with him and how he responded to that conversation. And I don't think any of us in this organization had any doubt of what type of character this kid was. But now you see him not only evolving, and he's a great player on the field, and he does a great job off the field, but he's really developed into our team leader right now. And you see him before the games, when we gather in the huddle, he's the one getting everybody going. He's truly become our leader and our spark for this football team.
I'm really glad you said that, because whether it's at home or watching the road games, you can see it on the sideline too, and it's not like everything's going bad, but he's very comfortable in having certain conversations with people about becoming better, and the only way to do that is to be kind and have the past performances like he has, right?
Yeah, no, when you go out there and play like he does and put everything on the line, and you know, I think he had 90-plus yards rushing, and they were some tough yards last night. And it's like getting in a car wreck almost every time he touches the ball. But for him to go out there and line up and go down in and down out and keep running and pounding, it's just that carries over to our entire football team. Not only does the offensive lineman really take to that, but also it carries over into our defense and how well we're playing right now.
Yeah, and your quarterback the last three has been mostly terrific, specifically on third down. Moving forward, beginning with Dallas, what do you need from Kirk Cousins to continue to win games?
You know, we've built this football team on running the football. Coach Zimmer always wants a physical style, offense, defense, setting up the play action, and then that's what Kirk does best. And when we have success running the ball, and even last night, even though it was slow going, but we still tried to grind it on the ground and didn't give up on the running game. And then Kirk's decision-making last night and how quickly the ball came out and some of the catches that these guys made, the great one-head catch on Adam Thielen on his first touchdown, but what a great placement that Cousins put where that ball was, where only Thielen can get it. So there's no question, even in the earlier games, like out in Seattle, he brought us back in the fourth quarter, although we didn't end up winning that game. Tennessee game, he brought us back in the fourth quarter. So I think as long as we don't turn the ball over, which is critical, then he's been playing extremely well.
To the defense momentarily with General Manager Rick Spielman. First, purchase any 20-ounce Pepsi-branded product from Quick Trip with your rewards card and enter the Vikings opening drive sweepstakes. No purchase necessary. See store for details. Jeff Gladney, weird offseason, had an injury with which to deal. It's virtual, no preseason games, 9 snaps against the Packers. But boom, it has clicked with him, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think he's starting to settle down in that Nick position. He can play. What's unique about him is not only he can play outside, which you've seen in college, but the Nick position in Coach Zim defense is something that's very difficult to learn. It's just from getting more comfortable on all the things and all the reads that are going on in there. But you can see him and his maturity as a player is he's not thinking anymore. Now he's just reacting. He's seeing things. He's seeing when to pass things off. The other thing, he does a great job timing up when Zim sends him on blitzes. So, and he's a physical kid, and he's a competitive kid. And you just see him, like a lot of these young guys, especially over the last 3 or 4 weeks, really just starting to click with him right now.
You know, with Chris Boyd, second year from Texas, 2 starts. And I remember late last year when he was working scout team, and you were raving about him to me about his work on scout team, and now he gets an opportunity. How much do you think leading the team in special teams tackles last year helped Chris do what he's doing this year?
I think a lot of these young guys, when you evaluate them, if they're becoming players on special teams and it's not their turn to play yet on defense, but they're making plays on special teams, you have to be pretty athletic and you have to be a good football player, especially to show up on special teams. And then you see him finally get his opportunity to start due to some injuries. You looked at the Green Bay game where he struggled a little bit that game, not as comfortable. But the way he's came on and the confidence level he's playing with over the last 2 weeks, I think it was the first snap of the ball game last night. They tried to throw a quick bubble screen, and he came up and attacked the receiver, got rid of the receiver, and had a tackle for loss right there. That just got his confidence going. And like a lot of these young guys, these guys are starting to play with some swagger and some energy. And that's a reflection of how Coach Zim's coaching these guys.
Boy, I just love your defensive line, and it just shows, I mean, seriously, you lost to Neil Hunter, maybe the best pass-rushing 4-3 defensive end in the NFL. It just shows that you don't have to have the biggest name or like have the most speed to do it the right way, taught by Andre Patterson, because a lot of people around the league don't know the names of a lot of your guys, but they're coming through.
No, we have to look at the roster sometimes, too, because we had so many guys through this year. It's like, who's 26? Oh, yeah, Chris Jones. He's been here 2 weeks. Oh, yeah, that's the kid from Nebraska. J.D. played with. But it is. It's these guys. The one thing that these guys have, they may not have the name recognition out there, but they all love to play the game. They're all taking to the coaching they're getting. And when you watch them play, they play with a lot of energy and a lot of effort. And a lot of times, these guys are getting to the quarterback based off of not only schematically how the coaches are freeing them up and some of the blitz packages and some of the games that they're running, but also the energy and effort that they're playing with.
A couple of quickies to close for Rick Spielman, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings. Eric Kendricks just continues to get better season by season. I mean, talk about Eric. He's phenomenal.
There's not much. I mean, if you want to sit there and try to poke holes in somebody, it's hard to do. It's kind of like UPA. If we're sitting there trying to poke holes in your performance, you can't do it. You're almost perfection.
Save that.
But no, he is. He's developed. It's amazing how he's gotten better and better every year, and I think he's going to continue to get better. But it's hard pressed for me to say any middle linebacker in the NFL is playing better than he is right now.
Well, what about Eric Wilson? I mean, if fantasy football goes to defense, holy cow! I mean, is he filling the stat sheet with the splashy stuff? Eric Wilson, specifically his pass coverage. I remember that Oakland game last year. It seemed like he got a little lost on a Darren Waller long play. So from there to where he is now with the pass coverage, how much has it improved?
There's an example of a guy that came in as a college free agent that made it as a rookie because he was a great special teams player and was one of our core special team player over 2 years. You get an injury. This guy gets an opportunity to step in and just has been phenomenal stepping in for Anthony Barr, who's a big loss. But how he's playing right now and the key interception that he's made in the Seattle game that got us back in the game, and the plays he's making week in and week out really pop out on tape to tell you what type of football player he is.
Last one, we have a minute. In your business, you don't smell the roses frequently. Even if you've won 3 in a row, you're worried about the proverbial boogeyman around the corner, maybe known as Dallas. But seriously, what a blessing for a decade and a half with the Wilf family to do what you do as well as you've done it and to be as respected by them as you are. I mean, that's a blessing, Rick.
No, I can't be in a better place, and to be here for as long as I have been and to be with this ownership group and them understanding and learning the ups and downs of an NFL season and how emotional everybody is week in and week out and how hard the losses are to take, but how great the victories are to celebrate. To have that emotion, you can't get that in any other business, in my opinion. And to have the ownership group we have that are backing us every day, whether it's the high when we're there or when we're here, they know we're trying to do our best to try to win a championship here, and they have been nothing but supportive through this whole process.
With the pinch hitting effort for Mike Zimmer, you hit a home run. Thank you very much.
Is he Wally Pippen?
Yeah, we got a Trent Green, Kurt Warner in there. I mean, name your reference, you know. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, PA.